Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I do appreciate that Dr. Anderson was able to step in at the last minute and kind of fill in for me. Before you guys start tonight's feature film, Robocop, which was released in 1987, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to kind of place the film into historical perspective and talk about some of the key themes that you might want to think about while you're watching the film. The first thing to keep in mind is that the 1980s were a period in which the United States politically and economically shifted to the right, from where it had been focused on ideas like egalitarianism to ideas based on corporate growth and the accumulation of wealth. We saw a series of policy changes that led to the growth in corporations and the increased influence or role of corporations in the American economy. Chief among these was a decision to privatize what used to be the public sector, and a growing trend towards the privatization of military and police departments. A second thing that you might want to pay attention to is that the 1980s was also a period that kind of marked the end of the de-urbanization of America. That is to say that in the 1960s and 70s, a period of what we call white flight began, where wealthy whites moved from the urban areas and the city centers to the suburbs, largely leaving behind blighted urban communities. These communities, which included downtown New York City and downtown Chicago, often were full of violence, were controlled by gangs, and were often the locations of heavy drug use and crimes such as prostitution. And the third thing that you need to think about is that during this period, there's also an increased concern on the dehumanization of American society. Technology, which had been sort of part of our culture in the 1960s and 70s, had become to dominate our culture, as did influences from other Asian cultures like Japan and China, where technology had just started to take off as being a forefront of their culture and their economies. And so, in light of all of these changes, the movie Robocop is released. Robocop is an absolutely amazing attempt to sort of explore how Americans were thinking and feeling about the combination of these forces, and was an attempt to sort of look into America's perhaps not too distant future, where we had given up control of our society and our political system to corporations and the technology that they owned and allowed them to run us. So as you watch this film, I also want to point out one other thing that you need to check out. As your textbook points out, Robocop has what is quite probably one of the best villain kill scenes at the end of the film, which is not only a statement of technology versus corporations, but also has a very strong but hidden meaning towards environment and ecological disasters that corporations and privatization might provide. So anyway, hope to see you guys next week, and hope you enjoy the film.